He took himself a Christmas bonus, $4 billion. A French company, they gave all their employees 50 months' salary as a Christmas gift. They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it.
Are you on? Which side are you on?
Dockworkers struck 45,000 of them and struck and won big. A 62% raise over 6 years, with protections against automation to be negotiated in full between now and January 15th. The International Longshoremen's Association, ILA, the union that represents those 45,000 striking workers, called off the 3-day strike after reaching this tentative deal. Reportedly, the companies received significant pressure from Transportation Secretary Buttigieg and Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su to come closer to the workers' demands. Originally, the workers were demanding a 77% wage increase, and originally the companies were only offering less than 40% wage increase. Obviously, very, very different starting positions. Again, let's remember that's over 6 years. During that 3 days, though, we saw some of the most absolutely unhinged anti-worker BS from Republicans and even some blue MAGA type Democrats that I want to respond to, because it absolutely just totally it grinded my gears so much. I was on vacation last week at Disney World, had a great time, but the first day of the strike, I was just totally consumed by the nonsense that I saw on Twitter, and I just could not stop refreshing the screen because I was like, how many people are this insane? It was really, really grinding my gears. So let's start here in Alabama with our own governor who, as is typical for her, stood up for out-of-state, out-of-country owners over her own constituents, saying in part, Alabamians who want to work and provide for their families, but once again, Alabamians want to work and provide for their families, but once again, big labor is exploiting them. Now, that's going to come as a shock to the Alabamians at the Port of Mobile who were striking as members of the ILA. It's going to come as news to them that they are being exploited by their union that they are striking with. It's going to be very strange news to them. But fortunately, the governor understands the situation better than they do, the people that actually work the ports. She continues, if the ILA was genuinely fighting for their workers, they would be at the table negotiating for them, which they were. What are you it's crazy. They'll just say anything. She continues, they have chosen to hold hostage our economy, American consumers, and its own workers that they claim to support. Now, again, their own workers would be surprised to learn that they were, quote, taken hostage since they are the ones that willingly struck, and they are the ones that got over a 60% raise out of it. That's a very interesting example of exploitation. Right? Like, when I think of being exploited, I don't think of, I'm going to make, about 1.5 times what I do now out of this exploitation. That's very, that's just not like what I think of. But again, I've got Kay Ivey to explain it to me, right? So
thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness for Kay Ivey. And it's just so effing gross that this is coming, let's remember, in defense of literal foreign companies, right? These are not even American companies. These are not even American capitalists that she is defending here. She is defending foreign capitalists over Alabama workers. Every single dollar that they got as a raise in this contract is dollar that is being pulled from these international capitalists down to the Alabamian economy. Every dollar that they would not have gotten if Biden had followed her suggestion and invoked Taft-Hartley to stop the strike, and they hadn't gotten this raise, every single dollar that they would not have gotten would have gone overseas into the pockets of these foreign French and European capitalists. And that's how does an Alabama governor support that? That's easy. It's easy if you understand what's actually going on, that she doesn't care about Alabamians. She cares about the elite that make up her donor class, right? The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the National Association of Manufacturers, among several prominent Republicans, like Kay Ivey, called on Biden to invoke Taft-Hartley. And to his credit, right, to his credit, he strongly rebuked those calls, saying, quote, "I don't believe in Taft-Hartley." Reminds me of UMWA International President Cecil Roberts saying at the Alabama AFL-CIO convention that we need to repeal Taft-Hartley. So, it's just very frustrating stuff. And this was coming from all corners of the supposedly now pro-worker Republican Party, right? That's what we're hearing all the time. I am incessantly hearing about how Republicans are now the party of labor. Republicans are now the party of labor, despite the fact that basically any Republican politician of relevance was calling on Biden to invoke Taft-Hartley to break this strike. But they're the party of labor. They're the party of labor.
3 days, too. It took only 3 days.
Exactly, right? Exactly. It's just so frustrating. DeSantis was making noises that he was going to bring in the National Guard. He was going to bring in the National Guard to scab on Floridian workers for the benefit of international capitalists. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like I said, though, look, I hate these people. They fill me with, I believe, righteous fury. But these freaks on the right were not the only ones being weird about it. There were several, quote, like blue MAGA types, right? Democratic Party cultists who were also doing some really weird stuff, right? They were circulating a picture of the ILA International President with Harold Daggett. The ILA International President Harold Daggett with Donald Trump from a year ago, where the Daggett had a meeting with Trump, along with a hashtag, quote, Trump Longshore strike, right? As if the ILA has been planning this with Donald Trump to destroy the economy to help Biden, or to help Trump, right? To hurt Biden, to hurt Harris, to help Trump. And that's just not the way. That's just not, there's zero evidence for that. And it is absurd. And it is completely, now that the strike is over, right, completely completely contradicted by the evidence, right? They only went on strike for 6 days after the companies came closer to what they were asking for. They didn't even get everything they were asking for, remember, but the companies came closer. And so the union called off the strike. If this was really a plan that they had hatched up with Trump, they would not have stopped the strike. They would have kept going, right? Because the economy ultimately, after only 3 days, there's not going to be any lasting effects, right, from this strike. And but it was crazy seeing these supposedly liberal people just absolutely losing their minds over this strike because ostensibly it was going to hurt Biden. But now actually, this is going to be helpful for Biden and Harris, because they were able to brandish their pro-union bona fides by not breaking the strike, and they were able to, and now the union has been able to get this huge raise in part due to them not breaking the strike, right? So this is really ultimately, the blue MAGA Democratic Party cultists should really be like looking in the mirror and feeling ashamed of themselves. They were also making a lot of arguments about how, these people are overpaid. We'll get into that here in a moment. Most of these folks were no names or like minor Twitter celebrities, right? But nevertheless, their attacks on the longshoremen garnered tens of thousands of likes on the platform. One common theme was about how the ILA represented, quote, the white working class. And that's why they supposedly support Trump, even though, again, the union has not endorsed Trump. And we're supposedly trying to help him. Ben, can you show me this picture of the Longshore workers? Let's put this up on the stream so that people can see these privileged white Longshore workers, because I think it's really important that we understand what's going on here. Yeah, so that's a super, for people that are only listening on audio, this is a picture of the Charleston ILA local that is basically 100% black, actually. If you can believe it. These are not privileged white workers that are trying to support Donald Trump. This is actually, in Charleston at least, I mean, seriously, look at this picture. You can't see it if you're not looking at it. It's almost 100% black. So that's just the Democratic Party type's so frustrating. I just cannot, I cannot express to you how frustrating it has been for me over the last week. Well, I've been trying. Did they not know? Did these Democratic Party cultists not know that Jacob Morrison was on vacation? I was trying to have a good time, and they were ruining it.
Oh, no.
I know. Nobody was thinking about me. That's crazy. We're going to get into some more of the details of of the workers' compensation later. But before we do that, because it's important to set the scene with this, let's listen to ILA President Harold Daggett explain how much money the owners are making.
Back then, the companies were lucky they made millions of dollars, to 10 million, 5 million. Today, they make billions and billions of dollars. They make, MSC is the richest shipping company in the world, made 3 times the money than Amazon. A lot of money, right? Billions. Well, one of the companies, and I won't mention his name, he took himself the Christmas bonus, $4 billion. He took it out for him and his family, $4 billion. A French company, I won't mention their name, they gave all their employees 50 months' salary as a Christmas gift. Now, look at that money. They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it, right? And so if you can listen to that, and then you hear, let's even just stipulate, which is not true, and we'll get into it momentarily. Let's even just stipulate that the average Longshore worker makes $200,000 for working a normal schedule. Okay, we'll get into how that's not true, but let's even just stipulate that. Even if that were true, they would have still been justified in striking to get more because of how much money is on the table, right? The question is not how much value is being created. Is their work valuable enough to pay them more, right? It obviously is. The question is, who is reaping the benefits of the value that these workers are creating? And when we are in a situation when one person can get a multi-billion-dollar bonus, not even his regular salary bonus, okay, I have absolutely less than zero interest in hearing about how the workers have it too good. Just not remotely interested in that conversation. Now, some people have mentioned Daggett's own salary, the ILA international president, which comes out to about $900,000 a year. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. Yeah. But do you know how many times, Adam, and Adam is now out of the traffic, he's in the booth. Thank you to Ben for holding down the fort. But Adam, do you know how many times $900,000 goes into $4 billion?
I don't know. I'm not much of a math guy.
Yeah, well, lucky for you.
It seems like a lot.
Yeah, lucky for you. I have a math degree. And I can tell you that $900,000 goes into $4 billion over 4,000 times. Not 4 times, not 40 times, not 400 times, 4,000 times.
That's a lot of times.
And that is, yes, exactly. That's a lot of times. And that $900,000 is for 1 year of labor, and that $4 billion is for 1 bonus, right? So, look. If I was in the ILA, I would be pushing for a reduction in the salary of the president, okay? And I'll, and if some ILA people see this, they're probably not going to be happy with me saying that, but that's okay. I'm used to some union people not being happy with the things that I say on here. Okay. But that's fine. That's fine. But I don't think it's I don't think he should be making almost $1 million a year. But again, like with the workers themselves, it is physically impossible. It's just like physically not possible for me to be less interested in hearing criticism of a less than $1 million salary from people who defend billion-dollar bonuses, which is exactly what every single attack on this strike was. Whether they put it in those terms or not, that's what it was. If you are attacking the strike, you are defending billion-dollar bonuses, okay? And so if you're doing that, I'm just like physically not possible for me to be interested in what you say about the president of the ILA salary. So, look, there you go. And also, I will say, as an outsider without a say in the salary of the ILA president, if anybody in the world can be said to, quote, earn $1 million salary and not quite $1 million, almost $1 million. If anybody in the world can be said to, quote, earn $1 million salary, I would say it's probably the democratically elected president of an organization of tens of thousands of workers, which has democratic and transparent budgets, which can be changed by the members should they desire. Okay? Right? So, you don't get a say over your boss's income. They just get to decide themselves how much they make. Okay? The members ultimately are responsible for the compensation of their leaders. And so if anybody can earn $1 million, I think it's people that are accountable to tens of thousands of people. That's my opinion. Now, like I said, there's also been a lot of talk about the income of the longshoremen themselves, saying that they make $100,000, $200,000, whatever. So they are selfish. They're taking the country hostage, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'll emphasize it's the executives who make billions of dollars who are taking the country hostage because they have and have had the money to pay for 100% of the union's demands and then some, and not raise prices and still make profits. But unfortunately, and also I will say before I get one more thing, the fact that these overpaid executives were willing to take us into a strike to avoid giving the workers what they were asking for, the fact that they were willing to do that really should call into question the responsibility of these owners. Are they responsible enough? Are they good enough stewards of the global economy to be trusted with the ownership of these incredibly important institutions? Are they responsible enough for that? I think probably the answer is no. I don't think they're responsible enough for the ownership of these incredibly important to the global economy institutions. And so we should be talking about revoking their ownership. But that's going to be a conversation for another day, I think. But unfortunately, look, it's just not exactly true that the longshoremen are paid like kings. Their starting rate up and down the East Coast, so even in New Jersey and New York, remember, is $20 an hour. $20 an hour. You can make that like working at a fast food place in a lot of places. And, look, that's great. I think fast food workers should be paid $20, $25. I think they should have pay. I think they should have benefits. I think they should have retirement, all that good stuff. But just, look, it's not the same level of difficulty or danger, working in a fast food restaurant and working, on the docks, right? It's just not the same. And so that is their starting pay, $20 an hour. After 6 years of progression, they get to a top base wage of $39 an hour. $39 an hour is like basically what any journeyman tradesperson will make, right? I mean, that's not an uncommonly high base pay. That's only $81,000 a year for a normal year of work.
Right, I know plenty of trades folks who actually make more than that.
Yes, exactly. People in the stagehands union in Alabama, in Huntsville, it's the stagehands union. I love the stagehands. Many people say the stagehands are great. Many people say I love the stagehands more than anybody, actually. But the stagehands here in Huntsville, not a particularly strong union, as far as the leverage and the power that they exert and everything. Their riggers make more than $39 an hour here, right? I mean, they make like 44, 45. Isn't that right?
Some in that area, yeah. They do make more than that.
And now
it's base, of course.
It's base and the stagehands here, they don't have benefits, and so the longshoremen typically have benefits, and so it's not quite the same. But it's just to say $39 an hour is not outrageous. That's only 81.
For highly specialized, skilled labor.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is not that unusual.
Right.
I personally wouldn't be interested in working on the docks for
less than
$20 an hour.
Exactly.
And that's what I've told people recently. Like, I mean, if you want to trade places with them, by all means,
exactly,
put in your application, right?
Right. Yeah.
It seems like a pretty tough job, and I don't know if they can hold the entire economy hostage.
Seems like it's pretty important.
Seems like they're pretty important.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, look, to make that $200,000 number, which has been floating around because of a report on Longshore pay during 2020, right, when they probably worked more than any other time in the history of the union, a worker at top rate would have had to work nearly 80 hours a week every single week. Okay? So if you want to work 80 hours a week, they talked about, the leaders talked about some of them working 100 hours a week. If you want to go work 100 hours a week on the freaking docks, then go do it, and then you can make $200,000 a year. If you think that's so great, then just go do it. Go quit whatever fancy pants computer job you have and go work on the docks and make the money that you think is too much. Just go do that, right? It's also important to note how far the ILA has lagged behind their West Coast counterparts in the ILWU, the International Longshore Workers Union, out on the West Coast. This from Labor Notes in their article about the end of the strike. Quote, ILA members have lagged behind West Coast longshore workers in the ILWU whose starting pay, right? You go work day one, starting pay in their most recent contract is $40 an hour. The starting pay for West Coast longshore workers exceeds the top pay for East Coast longshore workers. Okay? East Coast workers started at $20 an hour, like I said, and rose to $39 an hour over 6 years. Additionally, you think union, you think kind of tradespeople, you think pensions. Union trades folks are the only folks in the country, basically, some of the only folks with pensions. But workers in Houston and Philadelphia have no pension at all, while many other East Coast workers have barely discernible ones, because pensions in the ILA are apparently negotiated like local by local. Pensions on the West Coast are uniform across ports and higher overall. So in addition to making something like half of what West Coast longshore workers make, they also make nearly 12% less than they did 20 years ago when adjusted for inflation. So, if you're not kind of frustrated at everything that you've been hearing from the mainstream media about this, then, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, there's something wrong with you, right? Another fairly constant theme, and we're about, we're coming to the end of this, breaking down the Longshore strike, and then we're going to bring on a reporter from AL.com to talk about, the Alabama local in Mobile. But another fairly constant theme was the attempt to pit longshore workers against other workers. Here is how Daggett responded to an attempt at that from Fox News.
Over the weekend, the past
Secretary of Labor Julie Sue has been terrific. She's knocking down doors. She's trying to stop this. She's trying to get us to a media where we can have a fair negotiations. It's the companies that don't want to. They don't want to sit here and be fair. So that's why we're out here fighting for our livelihood.
What more from the automation do you want? What more protections could there be?
What more?
Yeah, they have language in there now.
Not strong enough, because what happens is they come in with new technology. We just caught them in Mobile, Alabama, called AutoGate, and that means the trucks are coming in and they're already checked in somewhere else and not using the checkers in the ILA. Circumventing the contract. They don't care. They don't care. It's not fair. And if we don't put our foot down now, they would like to run over us, and we're not going to allow that.
You are going to grind the economy to a halt here on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
No, not us. They are. Don't spin it now because you're Fox News. They're going to drive it.
Are you worried?
They're going to drive it.
Are you worried that this
They have
strike?
the capital to settle this thing.
Are you worried that this strike is going to hurt the everyday American, the farmers that need to reach the export market? They're
Listen,
telling me that they're going to hurt through
Now
all
you
of
start
this.
to realize who the longshoremen are, right?
Nobody cares.
People never gave a about us until now, when they finally realized that the chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in. Food won't come in. Clothing won't come in. You know how many people depend on our jobs? Half the world. And it's time for them and time for Washington to put so much pressure on them to take care of us, because we took care of them, and we're here 135 years and brought them where they are today, and they don't want to share. And I'm done.
There you go. There you go. So, I think that's a really great way to respond to some of this stuff. Their labor is incredibly important for the entire global economy, and they should be compensated for that. And their compensation for that is also good for the rest of us. It brings wages higher in the general wage market, and it gives these people locally more money to spend in their communities, money that would otherwise be, let's remember, in the bank account of some overseas executive. And finally, there's been a lot of attacks on the union for their position on automation. But the position is not as clear as automation proponents would like you to believe. This is from Michael Sonato's report for the Real News Network. Quote, automation in the shipping industry has further threatened the economic benefits these ports yield. Despite capital costs associated with automation offsetting any savings from labor costs, and research showing automated ports are generally 7 to 15% less productive than non-automated ports. So, there's stuff showing different things. I don't want to say that is necessarily the end-all be-all about the efficiency and the productivity of automated versus non-automated ports, but it's to say that it's not as clear as the automation proponents would like you to believe. And like the ILA was saying, machines, they don't feed families, right? They don't pay taxes. They don't do any of that kind of stuff. And so you really have to think about the human costs when you're talking about automation. And if you're going to be doing automation, you need to make sure that it actually benefits the workers that are there. I actually had the fortune of being on the picket line down in Tampa with these folks. I was there as the picket captain, got the call that the strike was over. So that was pretty cool. But, I was talking to some of them, and they were talking about how at Tampa, their local used to have almost 1,000 longshoremen working, and now they only have some 200, right? And so that's a lot fewer jobs. That's a lot less workers in the economy. And it's pretty clear that even the remaining longshoremen are not the ones that are reaping the benefits. It's the people that are getting billion-dollar bonuses, right? So there you go. That's the breakdown of the Longshore strike. Everything that you heard from right-wing mainstream media about the longshoremen are greedy. It's all BS, as you should know if you're a listener to this program. There you go. Hope you leave us a voicemail about it if you disagree, or you stay tuned for overtime and you join us on Zoom.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.